I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party.
Some breaking news. We understand that Boris Johnson, former Prime Minister, is now on board a plane in the Dominican Republic. He's about to take that overnight flight with British Airways back to the UK.
The new leader inside number 10 Downing Street, as promised. Today, Rishi Sunak officially became Great Britain's Prime Minister for this week.
With all the recent news that we've been getting, as someone who lives in the UK, it's unfortunate to say, but the UK is a laughingstock to the rest of the world right now. And honestly, it's for good reason. And if you're anything like myself, then you're probably thinking three things. You've got three questions. Question number one, is the UK economy really built to last? Question number two, how long is this joke going to go on for? And question number three, the most important of them all, can I still go into my local Tesco and get those Haribo Tangfastics for £1? Don't worry, I got you in that aspect. You're good, I checked. But you know, if we just want to go back to point one and get an understanding of this, get more clarity on this, we need to see what is really impacting the UK. So let's have a look at the pain points the UK is currently having. You know, let's get into it. In no particular order, the first pain point that I want to mention is the ongoing war in Ukraine. And although the ramifications of this war are quite small scale in the UK in comparison to other European countries, there's still impact nonetheless. And this is due to cost push inflation as we import a lot of our goods, so materials, food, etc. Now, looking at what cost push inflation is, this is when there's a fall in the aggregate supply of goods. And this is obviously in the situation here because the war's going on, production is happening less, manufacturing is happening less. And if we just link this to actually the rise in energy costs that we've been seeing of recent, despite us only getting 10% of our oil and gas from Russia, this explains or is part of the reason why energy costs have risen so much. But this cost push inflation theory actually holds more weight or has more significance in the next pain point that I want to discuss, being COVID-19. Now, regarding the pandemic, for the most part, lockdowns are now a thing of the past. But unfortunately, in places like China, they are still ongoing. And this has a knock-on effect on supply chain, which then has a knock-on effect on being able to import goods. And this obviously has global repercussions as China is a major exporter of goods. And this just links back to what I said about cost push inflation and the significance that the pandemic has had on this. And previously, this actually just used to be certain components having problems with shortages. But over time, this has become a more fundamental problem, having shortages in things like necessities, so food, toilet paper, and even as going as far as tampons. Now, the final pain point that I want to discuss today, and I know this one's going to be a tad bit controversial, but you know, I'm here to give it to you straight, no mixer. It's Brexit, man. Now, whether it was the right decision to stay, leave, this video is not about that. What I am going to discuss is the trading intensity that's fallen in the UK in comparison to the other G7 countries. And then on top of this, we have the rising cost of tariffs due to not being part of the EU, making it more expensive for us to import and export goods. You know, just overall adding to the cost for the UK economy. But just to give you a deeper dive into, I guess, how Brexit has really impacted the UK, I've linked a video in my description which really goes over it in good depth. Now, moving on to brighter things, the UK economy technically isn't in a recession yet anyways. And this is just based on the generic definition of what a recession is, and that's 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. And as you can see, for both Q1 and Q2, although declining, there's still both positive numbers for GDP growth. And you know, looking at other indicators that can be used to show recession, unemployment rate, you can actually see that this has been decreasing in August, as it's currently at 3.5%. But with all this being said, you see economic indicators, especially with recessions, can sometimes show you 2 different stories with 2 different tails, similar to heads or tails. You know, and that kind of reminds me of a coin. And this actually holds true here, as the PMI, another indicator used to look at the economy, has been under 50 for the last 2 months, being September and October. And any score under 50 actually showcases that the economy is contracting. And this has actually led people to say that for both Q3 and Q4, that we're going to see negative economic growth, which links back to the initial definition of recession that I gave you. But wait, hold on a second. Did I not say that I was going to speak about good things? Okay, let's turn it back. let's reset. Now with the good things, I guess the first point to raise is that people are generally happy with the mini budget reversal. You know, the markets have gone back up somewhat anyways. The pound's obviously going back up to normal levels, so moving away from historic lows. And you know, if you want more context around the mini budget and you know what you need to know, I'm going to have a link above to one of my previous videos. Additionally, people are actually happy about the change in Prime Minister, as the change may be able to bring about economic prosperity for the country, but I guess we're just going to have to wait and see on that. And then finally, just looking at recessions in itself, the UK has obviously went through recessions in the past, and a good example of this is the Great Recession of 2008, where the UK was actually able to not only get over this hump, but actually grow the economy larger to pre-2008 levels. And I know historic performance isn't an indicator to future returns, especially when there's different factors at play here than 2008, but this is just a reference point to showing that, you know, the UK is actually and can be capable. So going back to the initial question I asked, is the UK built to last? And in its current form, in my opinion, I think it's a sinking ship. But you see, with some of the points mentioned within this video, a forward-looking fiscal statement on the 31st of October, some prayer, and looking at this video here, I think oh, you're still here. Don't forget to like and subscribe.